So Donald Trump is going to be returning to the scene. He is going to be going back to Butler, Pennsylvania for a massive rally that's going to be happening just tomorrow afternoon. We hear Elon Musk is going to be there, and this is a courageous thing to do, of course, obviously. Also, it is a major swing state. Pennsylvania is going to determine so much. We got a lot to update you on. I'm shooting this just before releasing this, so this is all up to date as best we can be. I want to give you some information on what's going on with the unemployment numbers that just came out this morning. Also, just some of the weirdness happening in there. Also, we have it's just, there's so much to talk about. Let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and we try to cover the things in the news media that they just aren't covering. The news things that are happening out there, but that are not getting reported. You know that there's going to be a news blackout on this rally. We're going to see them cut away from it if they even cover it at all. This is a courageous and also just unprecedented type of event in this campaign. We've never really seen this type of thing before. So it should be interesting to see Elon Musk there right after the ear incident, which we're not even allowed to talk about here. Doesn't that just tell you everything you need to know? He responded in a way that inspired the nation. Right? We have Elon Musk came out almost immediately after that and gave a full endorsement to and recommendation to Donald Trump. And we see that Elon Musk is going to be there supporting the event. And also, I don't know if he's going to speak or anything like that. But it's an interesting thing that's happening right now, isn't it? All these people who are trying to save the planet have their electric cars from Tesla, and they're not sure what to do with them. They're not sure if they should keep them or if they should, denounce Elon Musk and sell their cars or burn their cars, or it's interesting to watch the wheels turn in their heads, because everything's about politics. It's not about saving the planet. It's all about supporting your political party and your political persuasion on that. So it's just absolutely crazy. So let's get into some of these crazy job numbers out here, because everything to these folks is there's nothing sacred anymore. There's no government. There's no economic jobs numbers that are sacred anymore. There's no objective truth. Everything has to be twisted by this administration into some sort of political advantage. We see that with their response. We see that with the response to North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida. We were told, and it was outrageous, even that the disaster victims would be getting $750. Now, we know that from a whole bunch of people out there telling us on the ground, that's not even happening. They're rejecting people's applications for the $750, even though their houses are flooded, even though they're not able to get into their houses, even though they don't have power. This is against the backdrop of, remember, every other person walking into this place getting $9,000, getting preferential treatment on loans. And here's a question for you. Since they're not IDing people as they come across the southern way, what's to stop someone from going back and forth professionally? And you say, well, Steve, no one would do that. And yet they are. We see people who are gaming the food stamp system. We've had people in the audience who have observed people using multiple food stamp cards. People who are clearly abusing the system. And it seems like the people that are doing this are coming from other places. We're being told it's $9,000 a piece to anyone coming in, but then the disaster victims of U.S. citizens supposedly getting 750 and then being denied on that. Why? Because FEMA's out of money. And why is FEMA out of money? Because they wasted it all spending it on people from other places. Not only that, but these unemployment numbers. So today, these blowout unemployment numbers, they created 254,000 new jobs in the past month, supposedly. Of course, most of that is adjustments and, BS squared and all sorts of stupidity baked in there into their estimate. They just upward revised the last 2 months, but those are still estimates, friends. They're not counts. They're not counting jobs. They're guesstimating. And then using their algorithms and filters to adjust those numbers as they see fit. So what just happened in the last month? I don't know. The Federal Reserve cut interest rates by 0.5%, which is unprecedented. The only time they ever cut 0.5% before was in stock market crashes, financial crises, and yet we're being told everything is great, but we're taking emergency measures out there. And part of what they pointed to was the jobs. The jobs were softening up. Yeah, but then we find out that they adjusted those numbers upwards. So, and then we have this blowout month of September, apparently. So they were hiding their fake jobs. They want their interest rate cut to boost the stock market, and they want their crazy high job numbers, their fake job numbers, so that they can campaign on those. Is there any integrity left to these institutions, these organizations? Again, I really think that that's another department, Bureau of Labor Statistics, should just all be fired. The whole organization just gotten rid of. Do they do anything that's actually useful? No, they don't. Does the market already, do banks already provide these numbers, more accurate numbers than what the government produces for tens of millions of dollars? Yeah, the market already does that for free. These banks want to know what the numbers are. The problem is that the banks have a hard time estimating how many jobs have been created, because the fact is when they actually count the jobs created, it never seems to correspond to the government's counting of how many jobs have been created. Almost as if the government's number doesn't actually connect to reality in any shape or way. You hear all these numbers out there. The unemployment rate supposedly dropped from 7.9% down to 7.7%. Do you think in the United States, everyone who wants a job, do you think that only 7.7% of them don't have a job? Now, right, you're probably, either if you have a twisted sense of humor like I do, you're probably laughing, or if you don't, then you're just scowling at the screen because you know that that is a stupid absurdity, that no, there are plenty of people who want jobs, who don't have jobs, and it's way more than 7.7%. And yet the government keeps coming out with these numbers. The only people that can believe these type of numbers are people who live in an ivory tower. They're groupies of the Capitol Hill squads. Because the only people that are better off than 4 years ago, okay? The only people that are better off than 4 years ago, let me know down in the comments down below if there's anyone else who's better off than 4 years ago, other than the longshoremen. Others coming into our country, insurance and banking executives, they're better off. And the politicians in DC and all the people that work with them and for them, and all the swamp creatures of DC. They're the only ones who are actually better off. Are you and I better off? No. You may get paid a little bit more than what you used to, but the simple fact is that even if you're paid more, your dollar goes half as far as it did just like 5 or 8 years ago. You look at the prices about 8 years ago and you see that you got twice as much as you do today. You got twice as much house. If you were buying a house, you got twice as much house. If you went to the grocery store, you got twice as much food. Am I lying? Am I wrong? No, that's absolutely true, isn't it? You go back to the Trump presidency and you got twice as much gas. You go back to, you don't have to go very far for you to get twice as much of basically anything. And yet they tell us that inflation is under control. And it's not. So we got this whole election thing coming up. And I hope that all of you guys are registered to vote. I hope that all of the people that will be like-minded, that that you've made sure that they're registered to vote. And I know that there's a bunch of people in this audience who are saying it doesn't matter, or it will just support the system that is broken and is full of irregularities and all that kind of stuff. Please, friends, go ahead and vote. Please vote. Trust me, we know what you're talking about. Okay, there aren't many people who don't know what you're talking about. But it looks like we might have a chance to get things over the margin of all the irregularities for us to outright pull in some of these positions, and we may be able to stem the decline at least a little bit, or delay the collapse of the United States. And who knows? Maybe with a revival, we may actually be able to turn this thing around. I think that we need a spiritual revival. It's not just a political thing. If we don't get the politics under control and the spending under control and the southern zones under control, I don't think we have a chance. But we also need to change our hearts, and I think that God's doing something in our day and age. I think that there is something happening. And the question is whether we will embrace what God is doing or whether we will reject it. And I think that we're really at that point as a nation where we got two paths before us. And one of these paths is going to win. And the next 6 months or less, we're going to pick one of those paths. One of those paths is what we're going to go down. And I don't know that we've ever been at a more crucial moment in history. We have a presidential candidate who is willing to fight. Is he the perfect guy? There's a meme out there, and I think it's so very important for all of us to hear this. A vote is not a love letter to a candidate. It's not endorsing everything they've ever done, everything they've ever said, everything that they are. It is a chess move by you in determining how our government should function. Do you want choice A, or do you want your choice to be B? And remember, we got a whole bunch of other elections happening too. It's not just top of the ticket. We got senators, we got congresspeople, we got all sorts of legislative at the state level elections happening too. Friends, there's so much happening going in the next month. And it's going to determine, and I'd like to say in the next month we'll determine this, but it's not going to be the case. You know it's not. We're not going to know which way things are going at the beginning of next month. We're going to be late next month, maybe. We'll start to see what's going on. And there may be a need for us to put our foot down and say, no more of that. We're not going to put up with that. Or that's not going to happen here. We need as many people out there with their eyes open. We need people there. We need people who are in other places near their home and maybe more urban areas watching, documenting, paying attention. Because you know things are going to happen. And I believe that Donald Trump, through all of his faults and all of his failures and all of his moral indiscretions and just his tweeting and his mouth, drive me nuts too. Okay, I know some of you are like, I love everything this man does. Everything he has ever touched is. I'm not naive. I don't like a bunch of stuff. But then again, you know what? I don't need to like everything about somebody. I believe that he genuinely cares about America. He genuinely wants a good functioning government. And he at least respects a good, upstanding, moral society. Now, I don't think he fully understands a good, upstanding, moral society. But you know what? Right now, we need to turn back from the brink of collapse. We are Sodom and Gomorrah happening, and we need to stop some stuff right now. And if we don't, we're going to suffer the consequences of it. We're going to reap what we have sown. And can we walk through that? I don't know. We'll see. But please be paying attention, dialed in, and make sure that you and people who are like-minded are going to be out there voting. Make sure that that people can get to the polling places if they're trying to do that. Make sure that they get their mail-in ballots beforehand. If they can't, make use of every way to get those people. Now, if you have children and you know that they're not going to be responsible, maybe you can just let them figure it out, okay? But like-minded people who get it, who get what's at stake, make sure that they have everything they need to vote, okay? Make sure that happens. And in your communities, as best you can, be watchful, be looking, observing, pull out your recording devices whenever necessary, okay? Document stuff as best you can. Now, I know a lot of you guys are in deep red places and you're like, there isn't going to be all that much happening here. Well, you never know. You never know. These people are crazy. These people are crazy. Document the yard signs being attacked. Document things being torn down. Document all of that, because I feel like we're going to go into overtime. We're going to go in overtime. We're going to have a lot of discussions as a country of what direction we go in. And all of these things will be important and necessary. All right, friends, let me know what you guys think down in your comments down below. And as uncomfortable as this conversation is too, I'm going to make it a little more. Be documenting for your own records who has the wrong yard signs out. Okay? Just jot it down somewhere offline. Just have that information just in case. Just have some addresses. People in your neighborhood. Make sure you know who's on which side of things. Because right now they'll tell you by what's going on in their yard which side of things they're on. Later on, it may be a little harder to figure out. People may pretend to blend in. But right now, people are kind of out and out telling you where they stand on things. And you might want to take note of that right now. All right, friends. Thanks so much for watching. also, on the flip side of things, you may want to document people who are on the right side of things that you may want to meet. There's that too. All right, friends, thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up there. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.